Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Fluffy Boys with me and Waste. You believe in ghosts? Let's talk about it. How you doing today, Waste?
I'm good, mate. How about yourself? I'm good.
Can't complain. Want to talk about some spooky stories?
Yes, sir. You can.
If you haven't already been able to tell, this episode of the Fluffy Boys is going to be ghost stories, both personal and from submissions online.
Not to us, but just like Reddit and things like that.
We'll let you start. I can one up you on my first one.
Me. Oh, see, I don't know. All right.
I can go first if you want me to.
No, it's alright. Just trying to think of what one to drop, bro.
Here, I got you.
Let's start with this. So it was. Let's just set the mood, right? So don't know what day it was. I think it was around summertime a few years ago when I was living with a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been about 4 or 5 a.m. and going up to this, TVs were acting weird, like my console broke, I had flashing LEDs across my room randomly.
Were those the LEDs you were telling me that didn't work right? There's something wrong with it?
No, that was a new set. That's a new set. This one was from a shop in, I'm not going to say that area, but a shop in the UK. So about 4 or 5 a.m. and I just hear it like a crash.
Mm-hmm.
So it being that time, I jump up like, what the fuck was that, right?
Yeah.
So I come out of my room and my roommate's door is open. And he had a solid oak mirror, like right above his TV, with a fat nail, like holding it to the wall. And somehow it had fell off the nail.
Yeah.
And broke his TV. So I'm shouting at him at this point, right? Because he's just staring at me. And let's just say it could have got a lot worse because I'm there shouting at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I've got like my neighbours banging on my door and shit because I'm shouting. And I own swords, right? Or I used to before I moved up to Scotland.
Yep.
So I go and get this thing because I think motherfucker's like possessed, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just staring at me, just like not talking, not moving, nothing. So, I take it out of its sheath. Yep. And I start walking towards him like a fucking idiot. Mm-hmm. Like all of a sudden he just gasps, bro, and just looks at me. He was like, and then just looks at me. I was like, "Are you good, bro?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, what do you mean, what? I've just been shouting your name for like 5 minutes. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm good." And then he just laid down again.
And he wasn't a sleepwalker?
No. Oof. This boy stayed quiet the whole time.
I think I could one up you.
Oh shit, okay. My other stories aren't as crazy, so
I figured we could just go back and forth and we'll share some of our own stories and then we'll read some submissions and all of that.
Yes.
So whenever I was a kid, the house that my grandparents built, they built from the ground up, all the land, cleared the land, all of that. It was on 2 or 3 acres of property.
Yeah.
Well, it was nothing uncommon for me whenever I was younger. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, I'd get thirsty, so I'd drink, right?
Yeah.
Well, one night, and do you know what a frog is?
A frog, like the animal?
No, it's basically a room over your garage. Like a loft over your garage. And
right, okay.
That's on the second story. Well, I went to go get something to drink on the first story floor, right in the kitchen, and we left the door to the frog open all the time because it would let the air blow through on summer nights and it'd cool the house down. Well,
yeah.
No problems, got up, went down the hallway, went to the kitchen, grabbed me a glass, got some water, drank my water. And as I turned around, because I had already walked past this door, as I turned around and went to walk back to the room, because you had the door on your right that went up the stairs to the frog, and then you had everything else was on the left side of the house. I went to go back to the room, and whenever I did, there was just something in the back of my head that said, you need to look up those stairs. And I looked up the stairs. There was a little girl in a white dress, 3 foot tall.
Oh, hell no.
Blood red eyes, standing at the top of the stairs, looking down at me. I said, hell no, never again. So, my grandfather wound up dying, and my grandmother did long afterwards. Well, while I was in the fire department, my captain, who was an ex-county sheriff's deputy, while the house was vacant in between buyers, because there has been, since my grandparents lived there, there has been 7 or 8 families in the past 20 years that have lived there. And none of them stay long. None of them, nothing. Well, me and him were sitting there talking, and he was asking me about, where I grew up and all of that, because we were on those terms. And I was like, it's funny, I grew up right here at the head of the neighborhood. My grandfather was a founding member of the fire department and all of that. We started talking about it. He's like, yeah, I remember that house. He's like, I'll never go back into that house again. I was like, you've been in there? Because, I was kind of thrown off guard because I knew it was vacant. And he's like, the alarm went off in the house one night while no one was living there. And naturally, the police department sends deputies. Well, they get there, and there's 4 or 5 of them. They clear the house. There is nobody in the house. All the lights are off when they go to leave. He said when he went to go and get back into his cruiser that was parked in the driveway, and you park in the driveway, you're parked in front of the garage, and then you can see the window for the frog. He said whenever he sat down in his cruiser, he saw the light flick on, and there was a little girl about 3 foot tall in a white dress with blood red eyes just staring down at him in his cruiser.
Yeah, oh no.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was. Dude, that one.
The funniest thing is,
one that
tonight's a very stormy night, and it's not great.
That's one of the. That's one of the ones that I will always remember. It's, that one messed with me in childhood.
The scariest one, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I can get scarier. I know that, so, if you believe in heaven and hell, and God and Satan, demons like to represent themselves as small, innocent children, because you wouldn't suspect something to happen from a child, right? So,
yeah.
From everything I've seen, one of the telltale signs that you're not messing with a child's spirit or anything like that is the blood red eyes.
Oh, of course. Like, if it's blood red eyes, you're fucked.
The day after my grandfather's funeral, we went back to the house, and my mom was the first one through. No. This was before they moved out. We went back to the house after the funeral because my grandmother was still living there. And my mom went through the door, and I was the second one in behind her because we were all coming in together. And as the last of us got through the door, the rocking chair that my grandfather sat in the living room, where he could see the front door and the TV at the same time if he wanted to, by itself with no one around it, just started rocking.
Not to do with wind or anything like that?
No, house was closed up, AC was off. It was fall time, it was cold outside.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, and it was one of those old-timey lazy boy rocking chairs that unless you sat in it, it didn't move. And it just sat there and rocked for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden, it went forward the last time and just completely stopped. I like to think that that's my grandfather that was showing me that he was there before he passed on, but at the same time, I've had other experiences in that house. I don't know.
The thing is that, like, most of mine are like touchy. That's a weird way to put it. But, like, I've been touched. That's even worse.
I have an entire family around.
Yeah.
And if my dad can find the picture, I'll send it to you. But there is a father, a wife, 2 kids who follow me around.
Oh, that's weird.
Very much so. Like, I was standing again in the living room of my grandmother's house once she had moved, and my dad just took a picture of me, just, to take a picture. And whenever he did, you could see the swirling mist around me, and it looked like there's a guy who is shoulder to shoulder with his back to me, with his arms crossed, looking away from me like he's pissed off. His wife is on the other side, or at least what I'm assuming is his wife, was on the other side of me, and the 2 kids were at my knees. Like, you can see their faces.
Oh shit.
That was. I've had some paranormal experience.
See, most people have, but the ones who don't believe just try to debunk it instantly.
Well, see, that's
even if you do believe, you try to debunk them.
Well, see, that's the funny thing. I've tried to debunk my experiences myself. I thought that I was just hallucinating and saw that little girl. But whenever he came to me and he told me that, and I had never told anybody about it, I knew that it wasn't fake anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to go with nice, fucked up, or like, aight?
I mean, we can go with fucked up. I have another personal story if you want.
No, so do I.
Okay, go ahead. We'll go fucked up.
I mean, I can drop both in one thing, as it was the same household.
Oui. All right.
So growing up, I obviously moved in with my grandparents.
Yep.
And downstairs in the living room, there was just a little boy ghost. Didn't do too much. You just turn the TV on enough at night just to be a little dick.
Yeah,
that's kids do.
It was a kid playing around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nothing too bad happened with him.
Yep.
And upstairs it was a 3-bedroom house.
Yep.
So they obviously had one room. They used one as like a little storage room, and I had the other big one.
Yep.
And one day I thought, do you know what? Like, they have like quite a lot of stuff and I don't, so I'll just move into the little room. They can have the bigger room as a storage.
Yeah.
So,
I have a feeling like this is when you realize that you never take the smaller room.
This is when I've realized I fucked up.
Oh yeah.
So, bearing in mind, I also used to have an Alsatian.
Yeah.
Big boy.
Mm-hmm.
He was too scared to go in that room, so that should have been a warning as it is.
Yeah.
Now, there's even when my brother and things had stayed there, he said he'd been hit by a fucking train or something, and he woke up bruised and shit, and it was like, okay. But I'm still dumb enough to move in there.
Yeah. So
I clean it all out, I move in. Nothing happens, and just out of the blue, I wake up with a broken finger and broken rib. Now, yeah, I broke up, like, my finger's still fucked, my ribs are fucked, everything's fucked.
Jesus Christ.
So, I went to the hospital because I kind of left it because there's really not much you can do with a broken rib.
Yeah, I mean, other than making sure that it's not punctured, yeah.
I mean, yeah, apart from that, like, I had, like, slight chest pains, it wasn't, like, in me.
Yeah.
So, it was around December, it was Christmas Day, and I could not move. And it wasn't like I was being held. No, it wasn't like I was being held down. Like, I could move around, I could talk, I could do whatever, but I couldn't sit up because as soon as I tried to move, I had a crazy ass pain in my chest, and I still get it from time to time now. So I managed to go to the hospital, did all my X-rays and shit like that, and on the X-ray, like, even to this day, you can see that, like, it's not normal. Like, there's still bones poking out. It's like one side's like higher than the other. Just not a normal chest. But on the X-ray, it showed perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with it at all. But like, you look at my body, it's fucked.
Spiritual attachment, maybe?
Well, I think so. Like, every house I've lived in has always been haunted. But I've not been like hit or broken anything since.
My worst experience would be 3 scratches down the entirety of my back.
Oh, don't fuck with the 3 scratches, bro.
Don't mess with anything that the Holy Trinity.
Bro, don't mess with anything.
So, and that leads me into my next story. So, if you go on Google, you can look up a place called Strawberry Chapel or Mistress Chicken. It's very famous around where I'm from. And
Strawberry, what's that?
Chapel, Chapel. So, there's a couple different stories. When I was younger, I went to school with a girl. If you don't know the backstory of Strawberry Chapel was a chapel/school that a girl was being punished, taken outside, strapped to a gravestone by chains, and then the groundskeeper came through with his lantern, and she thought that it was something coming after her because they knew the reputation of this place. This was back in like the 1800s or whatever. And she, real young girl, like kid, had a heart attack and died, strapped to a gravestone. They actually have a portrait of her on the side of the chapel on one brick, where someone has went in and drawn her face on there. But that's not the best part. So grave robbing was a big thing. And
I mean, it still is to these days, but yeah,
it is. So what they did was they went, after people had started stealing from the graves and stuff like that, because there are a whole bunch of Confederate graves and stuff like that out there. Well, they had taken all the bodies, they had moved them, reburied them in a different location, and they have all. You know what a crypt is?
Yeah.
All right. Well, all of the crypts are open, wide open. You can walk down the stairs into the crypt. Me and my dad went out there one day, and we're like, hey, let's just walk down into one of these and check it out. Because if you're not dead, you don't know what the inside of a crypt's like, unless you build it. So we walk down, and we spend 5 minutes inside of it, right? And we're walking around, it's dirt floor, all of this. First of all, when we went to leave, there was another group that had showed up. They were part of the Ghost Society here locally, and they were out there taking pictures, and it was just by coincidence that they were there, and they saw me and my dad coming out of the crypt, and they're like, hey, since you're coming out of the crypt, can we just take a picture of you right at the top of the stairs, and that'll be it? I'm like, yeah, why not? So they take, 1, 2, 3 pictures. In all 3 pictures, me and my dad are standing up at the top of the stairs, and you know how on a crypt they're built up above the ground. It's really taller than a human.
God, I already know where this is going.
Do you? Because I bet you that you weren't expecting, like I wasn't expecting, that you could see clear as day a 6-foot man sitting on top of the crypt with a pine straw hat, like 1800th century clothes.
Oh, okay.
They showed us the picture. I thought you were going to
see the girl.
No, they showed us the picture, and you cannot make anything out more clearly than this man's face. Like, it was crazy. So, as soon as they realized, and it wasn't like 10, 15 minutes after they took the pictures, that they were going back through, and they actually found the picture, and they're like, hey, y'all might want to check this out. And we walk over, and they show it. I'm like, hell no. Deuces.
Yeah.
But what's funny about the same crypt that we walked down into, have you ever heard of the disease that makes you sleep, but it's almost like you're dead?
No.
So there is a disease that basically makes you look like you're dead. Gives you the symptoms of death without actually being dead. You know, you're basically asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And this girl, I forget exactly when she was from, but she was buried in the crypt that me and my father went in. Right? They sealed her up, and she woke up. The door is outside of the crypt where you can see the claw marks that she tried to sit there and claw her way out of this crypt and wound up dying. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's real serious. Real quick. There was a girl, same place, Strawberry Chapel. Whenever I was in middle school, before I ever actually went out there actually ever went out there. Her dad, sheriff, and he got a call one night that the alarm at the chapel had went off. So he's like, all right, I'll go out here, I'll look at it and check it out, and we'll come back. So he asked his daughter, hey, you want to go? Because she was up. She's like, sure. They get to the chapel, pull up through the driveway, which you can't do anymore because it's fenced off. It's all no trespassing now, all of that.
I think it's gone now, right? Like the actual chapel.
No, it's not.
Because it said something about where is it and where's
the original chapel is gone. They built one on the same site that identically resembles the original, because the original one was destroyed in the Revolutionary War.
All right. Okay.
You know when us colonials kicked y'all's ass. But so back to the story. They go out there, right? And her dad's like, stay in the car. When I get out, lock the doors, just parent stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes inside. As she described it to me, he got out of the car, went to go inside, opened the door because it was unlocked, right? Draws his gun because it's unlocked. It's not supposed to be unlocked. So, opens the door, goes inside, and she can see him with his light down the aisle of the center of the church. All of the candles turn on, all of the candles lit, and the door slammed shut, and her dad got locked inside until the next morning. Yeah. Like, just telling you that one's got me goosebumps again.
Right, it's so stormy, man. I can hear shit banging around outside.
You scared?
No, it's just it definitely sets the mood.
Hey, you can't beat it, right? Here, actually, let me read this one for everyone out there, so that way, unless you have another personal story that you can talk about.
I mean, the only other one is just like being saved whilst trying to cross the road.
What do you mean?
So summertime 2014.
Yeah.
I didn't have any relatives that I know of that had passed away or anything like that, so I don't know who it was. A boy, teenager, doing whatever they're doing on their phone, not paying attention, trying to cross the road.
Yeah.
I'm about to cross the road as a fucking bus comes, and something grabbed from the back of my shoulder and pulled me backwards. I turned around, there was no one there. I got saved that day. By who? I don't know.
Guardian angel.
See, but I don't believe in that stuff.
You may not, but I also didn't believe in ghosts at one point either, no matter how much fact you threw in my face.
I think I've always believed in ghosts.
Oh, I got one better
a
for
lot
you.
of like shows and things like that were fake, but
one that I completely forgot about until just now. Do you remember how I told you I was in the fire department for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was the 90s, late 80s,
you tried
early.
To rescue a dead girl, didn't you?
No, it was I've been there too. the late 80s, early 90s, so before me and you were born, there was a guy walking down the road because the road that's right next to the fire station is like a T, but also a Z at the same time because, you can damn near go straight, but you can't go completely straight because you have to go around a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I get what you mean, yeah.
I was walking the fire department right next to the fire department and comes up right to the stop sign. And at the same time, a car is speeding down this road. This is a back road, this is a backwoods road. There's ponds, there's trees, everything. And this person comes around the corner right in front of the fire station, loses control. And it was like it was meant to be. Dude tried to drop down to hide, and whenever he dropped, his head was hit by that bumper and squished in between the tree like a brick. His ghost, you can, at that fire station, if you open the door at 2:45 at night and you look straight across the street, a lot of times you'll see somebody walking down the street that's not there.
Oh, shit.
Because you can sit there, I've literally sat there and watched them as they come closer and closer to the fire department until they're almost there, and then it's just gone.
See, that's the one thing I've never seen.
Oh, you've never seen someone come at you and just disappear?
No, like I've never like.
Be glad.
Even my town,
Be
bro.
glad.
My town told you, bro. I see people disappearing and shit, but
not in front of you.
Yeah, like I look away for like 2 seconds and then I look back and they're gone.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about like completely staring at them, trying to figure out what they're doing or if they need help, and then just like the wind blows. And it's just...
Yeah, no, I've not seen any.
We had an ex-firefighter who died in a motorcycle accident back in the 90s, early 2000s. He haunts the station. Like, you will be, because I've been there, nights in the bunk room, everybody's in the bunk room because I'm still awake and I'm looking at everybody asleep. And I know no one came into the fire department because we locked the entire place down once it got dark. Protocol.
Yeah.
It was nothing to hear the fire engine turn on, lights and sirens turn on, the horn turn on.
Oh shit.
And you walk outside and it's completely dead. Like, you will hear it all the way to the door. Like, you're like, what the is going on? Who the is here messing around, Like, obviously you're not supposed to be doing it because we would know if we had a call. And you walk, like, you hear it all the way to the door, and as soon as you open the door, everything's dead silent. And he really gets mad if you say that he doesn't exist. If you say he doesn't exist, you're screwed. He will just, like, he doesn't hurt anybody, but he will mess with you.
Yeah.
And those are some of my crazier fishing trips. Times I've been on fishing trips. No, I've been on fishing trips on boats, and I swear to God, I'll see people standing on like the banks. Because what you need to understand about where I'm from, the river was built by slave labor. Swamp was built by slave labor. The buildings all around it were built by slave labor. And you can go down the river, and you'll catch something out of your eye, and if you look, it'll almost look like somebody's standing on the bank. But at the same time, whenever you actually look, there's not a soul there. And you're like, why would anybody even be out here? It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot that goes on around here.
Oh,
sure. Let's hit this next one. Pig mask.
What's that, sorry?
Let's talk about this next one. Pig mask. It was submitted by Shanster925. And they go
What's
on
that one, sorry? Reddit.
They go on and say, our house was on a corner, and in lieu of a backyard, had a side yard with a small deck that wrapped around the back. The dining room had patio doors that led out the back, and we would have barbecues and such back there. When I was about 14, we only had one desktop computer, one laptop for the family. My brother and I would fight over the desktop. That's where Diablo 2 was installed. So I would use the laptop to write music. On one particular night, my brother had a friend over, and they were downstairs doing whatever, and I was in the dining room, at the dining room table on the laptop. As I was wrapping up my writing, I didn't pay much attention to my surroundings. I heard a knock on the patio door, which startled me. I looked up, expecting my brother or his friend. The basement had a door that led to the back deck as well. Standing at the door and waving was a person who could not tell sex or age, wearing a Halloween pig mask. Thinking it was my brother or his friend, I mouthed, "Good one," and gave the person the finger, and they walked away. As soon as they left, I went downstairs to give them shit. To my surprise and dismay, they were both sitting on the couch playing PlayStation. They swore up and down it wasn't either of them, and there was no way one of them would have had time to get downstairs to unmask before getting on the couch. To this day, I have no idea who was that knocked and waved at my door.
Wait, was that it?
Yeah, that was the end of that one. I have another short one here. It's called "Last Day on Earth" by at Stevens98. Okay. So I worked from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. at a gas station in one of the nicer cities around here, and I had a gentleman look me in the eyes and ask if I'm enjoying my last day on Earth. Walked away before I could answer. Some random person comes up to me and asks me if I'm enjoying my last day on Earth and then walks away. Hell, homie's about to catch this round and half of him.
Wait, was that it? Was that the end of the story?
It was one of those 2 sentence. It was a 2-sentence horror story.
Oh shit! All right, I've got one here on Reddit from senior_AD6914. Posted 12 hours ago, recording this, which is on a Wednesday. So, let me start off with a little context. My dad was a great dude. Oh wait, by the way, the story is, I think my deceased father is still here. That's the title. Sorry. So, let me start off with a little context. My dad was a great dude. He was the heart and soul of our family. He was diagnosed with cancer in 2009. Passed away a few days before Christmas 2018. He rarely missed a day of work throughout the many surgeries, chemo and radiation. I've butchered that. Anyway, I've struggled with my addiction my entire life, started with pills and such, and it ended up a full-blown IV heroin/cocaine addict.
Ooh.
My dad never gave up on me. Wait, what's that?
Oh no, I was just like, that sucks. It's terrible.
Sorry.
I've dealt with people who have. It starts off innocently enough, like they get hurt. They have prescribed all of these pain pills, and it takes over like that. And you want to talk about somebody who looks like a ghost? Look at a drug addict.
Very true.
But
the story is not over. But
I was gonna keep going. You got quiet, so I was like, can't let it be dead space.
Sorry. My dad never gave up on me and was hell-bent on straightening me up. A few months prior to his death, I went off the deep end again, and I lost my job and got myself in a bad way. When I came home, I saw the shape he was in. It broke my heart because I knew he wasn't going to be here much longer. I immediately checked myself into Halloween 2018, and have been sober since. Now, onto my story.
Yeah.
My mum and I are living in the house he actually passed away in. For the first year or more, nothing happened. For the last year or so, there have been some really strange occurrences that anyone who knew my dad would attribute to him. At first, it was just the television cutting off and on and stuff that can be easily written off. My mum and I even started joking, saying, "Cut it out, Dad," every time something happened. Then it was his alarm clock, which made us really give it a second thought, due to the fact that he was the most organized and punctual man you'd ever meet. He was an hour early to everything. Also, the blinds on our back door are open every morning, even though we keep them closed, or else our other dog will stay there looking out and whimper all night. Every day I tell my mum to quit opening the blinds and shut them, and every morning they're open again. My dad used to do the same. When my sister and I were in high school, my dad would come in our rooms every morning on the weekends and open our blinds to make us get up. Finally, once we started to acknowledge the things happening, a timer that my dad used to teach my niece how to brush her teeth every night when she was a child, she'll be 14 in May, went off in the middle of the night. It had been at least 6 to 7 years since it had been used and took us further to find it. It had been set to 10 minutes and was powered by a single AAA battery. It's not a scary thing, it's actually kind of comforting. It's just the way the things are befitting of Dad so much. My sister and Mum always say if anyone could have figured out a way to hang around and make sure I act right, it's Dad. Brings me some sense of solace in the fact that maybe he can see that I've gotten my shit together, and this is his way of acknowledging it. There have been many other instances in the last few months, and in researching I read that when a lot of emotions is in a room where someone passes, it can be a spirit to linger. It can cause a spirit to linger. When Dad passed away, there were probably 40 family members all gathered when he took his last breath. Anyway, just found this sub and wanted to share. What the hell? Oh, of course. Yeah. Hold on. What's that got to do with ghosts? Go for it, bro. Whilst you're looking, I can whack in like a very short one if you want. Alright, this is called Possessed Phone by HAIHA1. Hi-ha-1. So the tag on this is debunk this. So this might sound dumb, lol. So this happened a few months back during lockdown. Oh shit, recent, okay. Sorry. So this happened a few months back during lockdown. And would like to know your explanations. And as a skeptic. Please cut that out, bro. Please cut that out. Okay. So this happened a few months back during lockdown, and would like to know your explanations. And as a skeptic, I kind of have no way to debunk it. It was daytime around 10 to 12 a.m. 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Okay. I was home with my parents. There was this old phone, like the ones with keypads, inside the cupboard. So this phone was switched off, battery was dead, I think. Not sure. And the screen on the phone was completely broken. Like, you could only see white all over the screen when you switch it on. So you can't see anything on it, and it's useless. It had no SIMs on it either. So basically, the phone suddenly starts playing this music, or sounded familiar. It was similar to a song I have heard before. The tone was, at least. How many brackets does this guy use? It wasn't completely sane. Okay. It freaked me out. It played for like 1 minute or so, and I showed it to my mum, and she too was kind of shocked by it. The phone was completely dead when it all happened. pretty sure it wasn't an alarm or something because the phone was broken for some months, so no one could set up an alarm on it, and it only happened that one time. Yeah, that's the end. That's quite a useless story.
That's funny because I have one right here that's called the cell phone.
Oh shit, okay.
So this is the cell phone.